Okay. How's it going, everyone? We got Devin here, who topped 8 in our Crest of Power tournament that we just had a few days ago. How was that for you? Where there was like what 5 rounds of Swiss and a top 8.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I wasn't feeling super confident with the deck because at locals and on other tournaments I haven't been performing super great, but got top 8 in this one. Um, in Swiss, I ended up kind of going 5-0, but the last round we both knew we got in, so the other guy just took the loss. It just affected seeding, so that was it. So of the games I actually played, it was 4-0, and then I lost first round of bracket, which was a bit of a bummer, but the goal is to get top 8, and I did that. But looking back on it, I think game 3 of that set was definitely winnable. I think I misplayed, but obviously in retrospect. But yeah, I felt like I did pretty okay, and hopefully I do better with this deck in events in the future. But
Yeah, like
yeah,
what, three day,
it was a good
3
time.
weeks left till our sneak peek in, set 5.
Yeah, I'm competing in a couple of the big Bandai events soon, so definitely good practice this was. So yeah, hopefully I do well on those.
All right. Well,
But
what was
yeah,
your deck?
yeah. So I was playing Yellow WarGrey. What people say is the best deck in the format. Not 100% sure. I don't think it's far and away the best deck, but definitely very good. But has its rough matchups here and there. But we'll walk you through my build and my decisions. 4 Koro and 1 Upa. Most people these days run more Upa. Some combination split, sometimes 3-2. I really like the Koro. Just being able to reliably remove bodies is nice. Like the 4K, the +1 threshold is really good. 4 with Wargrave +1 from Koro, 5K beats other Pittos and 5K blockers. And then the ability to do 4 from Wargrave +6 from, or 4 from Wargrowl +6 from Wargrave +1 to beat other Wargraves is just really good. So I think the +1 is very useful. And I understand wanting the extra card draw from Upa, but I feel like there's enough card draw in the build, at least in my list, to kind of compensate for that. So that's why I run the rookies the way I do. And I still like the full 5 because sometimes, the extra Upa, I sometimes miss that it's a Koro, but there are definitely some matchups where I burn through all my eggs, so I don't mind having the 5th. Okay, so for my rookies, I run, let's do it this way, kind of awkward handling it the reverse way, but 4 Pulse, really good card, amazing to call off of Magna and Angelamon. If you're on 3 security, you can, both gain the memory and draw the card. And the way that the game works, if you're at 4 or 3 security, you can get the best proc of draw 1 and gain the memory with Wargrey on top of Bananji because you can pick the way the triggers stack. So if you're at 4, you do the Wargrey first to pick up the card, go down to 3, then call the Pulse. But if you're at 3, you call the Pulse, then pick up the card, and you're at 3 both ways. So really, really good card. Keeps your card advantage high and can gain you a lot of tempo with extra memory. Kulatmon, I feel like some people aren't really running this anymore. I really like it. Extra source of card draw, being able to just go up a card in hand is really important. I also run Eden's Javelin. So the extra +1 card in hand, being able to play a rookie and not actually, go down cards in hand is really sweet. In fact, go up. And being able to bring yourself a 1 security to set up Wargrey later is also really nice. So you don't have to rely on a Blinding Ray, because sometimes you don't always want to play Blinding Ray. What if they have like a memory denier out or something, or you don't really need to use the memory? Just getting the extra draw off of the LOP and being able to keep your hand nice and full of options is a really important thing. But I only run 2 because you usually don't want to like burn yourself a LOP twice. So seeing it once, doing its effect once is usually good enough. Now those are kind of the 2 card draw rookies. As for our recovery, I run 2 Salmon, 2 Patamon. This one, when it dies, you recover 1. It's not as immediate, but if you can, set it up right and it goes on board, you're going to get the recovery eventually. The only way that you don't is if they like need hog it, which is kind of sad, but you kind of try and play around that. And Pata is great because if you're at 0 security, you can call it Angelamon to then have something in your security to pick up with the Wargrave to get the restand. So that ability to get an extra swing if you're on 0 security is nice. And also just being able to go long. If you're at 2 security, keeping yourself at a high life total is nice, instead of going down to 0 or something like that. And yeah, I feel like 4 copies of these in total is like enough recovery for me, because because I like being able to keep up card advantage with these, and then being able to kill with these guys to call. These are all except for the Lop, I would say, are pretty great call targets. Just being able to get recovery from these guys, kill pressure with this guy, and then board advantage and card advantage with this guy are all really good. But yeah, I run 4 Bushis because having 2 in hand to have 4 total swings with a WarGrey on top of an Angelomon is just how you close out games. And if you Digivolve past it, if you only run like a couple, then you aren't very confident that you'll be able to find like another 1 or 2 throughout the game. So with this, like I definitely don't mind Digivolving past it to unbrick a hand or something, because I'm pretty confident I'll see them again. And being able to close out games is super duper important. So I run a total of 14 rookies. I don't have any Lucamons at the moment. I would. That's the reason why I didn't run is because I didn't have it. I think at least 1 would be correct in pretty much every version. And I think the thing that would go is probably be one of the Patamons that recover you 1 because they serve a very similar purpose. The Patamon is a lot less bricky because it's a rookie, and being able to Digivolve it is good, but just the 10k power and the lack of restriction on the recovery is insane. So if you get it off, it's like very strong. So that would go down to 13. But yeah, going on, I run 3 Turies, which is strange, but I'll get to that in a second. But the 1 to Digivolve is very good. And then I run the full playset of Piddos. Other 1 to Digivolve, very good. And Blocker for those matches where you need a defense is very good. 2 Unis, because the 6k blocker is very nice, as well as being able to, because of Needhog, dodging Needhog is really important. And 5 to hard drop is like not the worst thing in the world. And then the card that I run that a lot of people don't is Wargrowl. This card isn't like super duper insane or anything, but I really don't like bricking, so the 4 to hard cast just kind of helps alleviate that a little bit. I know some people play the Repa for the even cheaper to hard cast, but I like the actual inheritable. Reason being is because if you have this sort of stack, you can get the Wargrey to 12k swinging at security. So that means you can have a 12k beater and still call and do your multiple attacks. 1 sec. So yeah, just the ability to swing in at security with 12k in the mirror and not die to revealing an 11k off the security stack is like really, really nice. So if you're in the mirror and you have the time, you can try and set up this stack specifically to get the double swing more reliably. So I think that's pretty sweet. For those couple reasons, I like this guy too, but like he also gets swept up in a Needhog, so that kind of sucks. But I like running things to help smooth out hands.
You mentioned Needhog
That's
a bit. How many green decks did you play during the tournament?
funny that you mentioned that. 0.
Mm.
But the guy that I would have gone up against last round, who was a player that I was definitely scared of, I guess, was running green OTK. I didn't actually end up ending up playing him in Top Cut because I did not win my first game, but he is definitely a good player that I knew would show up. And there are a few other green decks running around, but I actually never ran into it. So didn't end up mattering, I guess. But I mean, it kind of did in a way. Like I definitely had many games where I just was hard slamming this for 4 and it was doing work. But yeah, no green, no green. I'll get into matchups later, but honestly, that matchup is not the easiest. So kind of an okay thing that I dodged it because that deck is definitely hard to play against. And arguably the other best deck in format. I think that deck has an answer to any board state if they draw right, which I think is super duper insane. But yeah, moving on, I've got the full playset of Angelomon. It's your win condition, super good. Yeah, the security minus is okay sometimes. Can shut down another WarGrey so that they can't, machine gun you down or potentially like prevent something going into Grand Kawaga and hitting you for a gajillion. But you'd rather just hide this in raising pretty much every time. But
Do you
other
think they
things
might
come
do
up other
anything
times.
to Angemon or Angelwoman in the next set? Because she's
Um,
a bit out of on people's little watch list.
in terms of hitting it, is it really that insane? I'm not really that much of a yellow player, to be quite honest. I kind of felt a bit lost this format, so I was just like, I'll just play the best deck.
Yeah, usually you
But
play Imperial Dramon.
yeah, I just didn't want to play Imperial Dramon when the 3 best colors, green, yellow, and purple had access to 8 blockers, and the ability to just get your early game aggression just shut out by that just wasn't appealing to me. Maybe next format when they get the new Omnimon, they can get an extra attack for that extra late game aggression. I would consider it. But I just felt like also mixing it up, playing a new deck is always fun. But yeah, definitely not, definitely not super duper in love with this deck. But I didn't really think that people were thinking of Angelomon being the card to hit. I haven't
had
really
some
thought
players
about
talk
it.
about her because both effects are just great, and I mean one is like situational, but at the same time, with how often you can manipulate your security, it's really not that hard when you think about it.
That's true.
And
Yeah, that's
then,
very true. I mean, it's definitely really good. And you would get 2 calls off the Lord Knight, right? Is what
hmm
people are scared of and
oh
whatnot.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I understand. It makes sense. I mean, I personally not one to clamor for bans, honestly. This requires setup. This effect requires setup, so I don't think it's like the most broken thing in the world. Um, but yeah, I think that yellow definitely needs some looking at for just the amount of tools that they have. They can do anything, um, at least to some degree. So I think that it could get hit somewhere probably, but I don't think that anything or game or being because when you look at BT6, like I'm not super in tune with like future formats, but I haven't seen much yellow. I can get dropped off a bit with like the crazy stuff that comes later, but I know Lord Knight is potentially the strongest next format, and if they want to curve that a little bit, I could see them hitting it, but um, we'll see how it shakes out. Maybe the NA meta can try to find counterplay, but I don't have a strong opinion on bans really at the moment. I think that the game at the moment is like pretty healthy. The thing that I'm most scared about is like strong security effects. I think that that is really, really strong and dangerous. But this, a conditional inheritable, I think is like okay in my mind. But we'll see. We'll see. You could catch me next format saying that it should get hit or in some way, but yeah, we'll see. Anyways, yeah, War Growl at 3. Some people like to go down to 2. I like extra removal, being able to do the 4+1+6, hit 11 is very good. And also the 4, I do run slashes, so the 4+8, also being able to take out pretty much any level 6 is also really nice. And the inheritable is also good. You'd rather have Angelomon to do the stupid calling and whatnot, but extra 1K to bump your guy up from 11 to 12 is really nice. Again, for the mirror, and a lot of megas are 11 in this meta. Metal Guru and Grand Koaga, I believe, are both 11. So, and then this Angelomon for recovery. You're burning yourself a lot, so the recovery is nice, but the bigger thing for me is that it's 6 to hard drop, which is pretty affordable. Like if you both have memory tamers out, it's just boom, representing a level 5 on board that I can digivolve into one of my really strong level 6s. Also being at 7K is huge because it dodges other WarGreys. They need extra setup to be able to finish it off. So just an extremely strong hard slam card.
that actually has a Digi-Evolution ability, right?
This one, oh yeah, when digivolving, recover 1. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I failed to mention that. Yeah, when digivolving, you recover 1, you bring yourself a lot with the deck. It comes up sometimes, not as often as like, not super duper often.
Most of the
You
time.
tend to,
Oh,
what's up?
I'm sorry. I was gonna say most of the time you'd prefer to hard cast it rather than Digivolve into it.
I mean, that's kind of what it's there for, right? It's like a half measure, right? Because like it's a level 6 that you don't mind hard slamming. It's kind of like the war or the Growlmon that I mentioned earlier. It's
Mm-hmm.
relatively cheap to hard slam, but it still is like a thing to fill out your curve. Like there have been many times where I'm digivolving up into raising. I'm like, well, this is the only level 5 I got. I'm totally happy that I have it rather than not. But a lot of times you do hard slam it, so it's okay. And the digivolving effect definitely does come up. You definitely bring yourself a lot. And the recovery helps you go in the game longer. But some people only have 1. I like running a total of 9 level 5s, so I like running 2 of these.
And
But
being a 7K kind of hopefully keeps it on the board a little longer if your opponent does have like a WarGreymon out that can only just deal 6K.
yeah, exactly. So like I said, in that situation where you hard slam it, it is like a real threat because if they pass turn and they leave it there, like you can do a lot of things. You can go Wargrave, potentially deal a lot of damage, or slash and kill their board, or one of those into a Valder arm, right? So like just having a 5 on board is just extremely threatening. So yeah, definitely a solid card to have. Up to my level 6s. I've run 3 WarGreys. This is kind of the trend these days, only running 3. And it didn't really cross my mind until I saw their list, but it really makes a lot of sense. So many times this guy's kind of just rotting in your hand in multiples. And you can only WarGrey so many times before you have no help left. So I think 3 is like, you see it often enough, and you usually don't WarGrey more than a couple times. So I think 3 is a good amount to make room for other level 6s. But definitely, your big man of the deck who helps keep the board clean and also storm the board at the same time. But requires setup to do that. Slash, no setup required, helps clear the board. I know a lot of people are running Mastamon in the place of this, and I'm definitely going to consider trying out that build. But I think the Mastamon build requires Lucamon because that's such an insane thing to call off of Mastamon, and I don't have any. So I thought Slash is definitely still a very solid choice. Being able to hit 12Ks with a War Growl, being able to pop 12Ks, any opponent's boss monster is just very nice. Being able to sit in raising, and even if you're sitting on raising with a War Growl, you can promote, do Digiburst effect, this into Valder Arm, and whatever they had on board is almost certainly dead.
With Massimon, have you been seeing more people play her?
I know the guy that won played it, that won this tournament was playing it, and I believe the last Bandai event, the guy that got first was playing a build with Mastamon over Slashes. So it is definite, and and Mastamon lists in general have been doing quite well. Not necessarily with Wargreys. Sometimes Wargrey is a secondary boss monster, but Mastamon lists in general have been doing very solidly. Again, this isn't my deck list, but the reason why it is good is because it shores up some other matchups. For specifically security control, which is definitely a very strong deck. I believe it got second in this tournament, and that could have very well helped the WarGreymon player in that matchup. But being able to burn a security without doing any sort of security checks is very solid. Every deck, though, has or not every deck, but most decks have some scary stuff in security, and being able to burn it and not have to worry about it is good. And also the ability to just, have another thing that swarms is very solid. And it also doesn't play from your hand. That's an interesting thing with this deck is yes, you get a board presence, but it comes at the cost of cards in hand. Mastamon uses the graveyard as a resource. So being able to swarm the board and not have it contingently be strong on having something in your hand is also very strong. But yeah, Mastamon, definitely a solid card. I'm going to try it out. But not in this list because, again, Lucamon stonks go way up with Mastamon. And I don't have those. Or I used to not. I picked one up at the tourney. But yeah. Other level 6, Magnadramon, kind of like Wargrey Light. If you have an Angelomon under it, because you swing and you would get 2 calls if you had Angelomon live. So that's 3 swings total if you had 2 Bushis in hand rather than 4. But also just being able to hard slam and recover and help go long is very nice. And just hard slamming this, if they don't deal with it, there could be a Valder Arm coming behind it, which is also very powerful. Being able to call Lucamons, Pulsemons, all that stuff is very solid. And not being conditional either is nice. So if you don't have the Blinding Ray or the Lopmons, you can kind of just go up a chain normally, maybe have a Wargrey under it, and still or War Growl doing the Digiburst stuff and still being able to poop stuff out unconditionally could be nice as well. And then for level 7, just run the 2 Valder Arms. I only have 2, but I think 2 is an okay number. 3 could get too cloggy. And yeah, when you resolve it, you're in an extremely good spot, but a lot of times it does kind of rot in hands. But still a really good card to see when you are in a decent position having level 6 on board. 3 TKs, 2 Blinding Rays. I like the 3 TKs because I don't like being choked, and he's just such a good card that you don't super hate seeing him in multiples. Being able to round out your hand is just super nice. Seeing him in the opener, even if you don't have a rookie, I don't consider that a brick because you're very likely to have a rookie in security if you don't have one in hand. And even if you have the rookie in hand, if you're missing a 4 or a 5 or a 6, you can pick up whatever you don't have. Sometimes you whiff. That happened to me in the tournament, looking for a 4 or 5 and it's not there. But you can still probably find something to help you out. Maybe a Pulsemon to help you draw, or a Lopmon to help you draw, or something like that. You can find hopefully something that'll bail you out. Maybe a blocker to keep the game going longer, like a Unimon or something. Yeah, amazing card. And then 2 Blinding Ray. I don't really feel like I need 3. I needed to find slots for other stuff, but 2 shows up enough. and just really good card. Being able to neg you a security to make your Angelomon and other stuff live is really nice and can do some really crazy stuff. You don't need any security to even activate it, so you can do some really explosive plays in the late game with that. Excuse me. And then 2 Edens. I really, really like this card. I'm a player that really likes to have recovery that is non-contingent, because I used to play Imperial, and I always rank a Kai Express because, while Omni is good, I like just being able to answer a really sticky situation if the game isn't going ideal for me and I'm not able to build up to that level 7. Because that costs a lot of memory. And just being able to see something that's scary and being able to answer it from hand is very good, as well as having really good security. Yellow tends to have pretty mediocre security. You'd kind of just have high-ish DP sometimes with like the Valder Arms and Wargreys, but those are the Wargreys and the Magnadramons and Flashes aren't even that high. Your DP doesn't even get that high. So the ability to have something that hidden security that is good is something that I really like. Also, because you're recovering, you're more likely to see it. And if you see it in security with a TK, you can maybe plan around that. Count the number of cards you have in your hand, and you're like, okay, if I draw one with the Edens, like what can that hit? So that might influence how you play out your hand. Maybe not hard cast like some level 3s or 4s that don't replace themselves, right? So really sweet card, definitely great. And the ability to just even plus you a card in security is really nice as well. So yeah, that's my build.
Yeah. So during your matches, give us a rundown.
Yeah, totally. So funny enough, first round was against Black, which is not a very popular color. And it was like a Black blocker Ragnalist. And that went to game 3. It was extremely scary. Black is actually a very difficult matchup for this deck because they have such high DP. You have the Black Tide that buffs his Black Digimon by 1k on my turn. So that made his Gargemons, which are his level 4 blockers, 8k, which takes so much work to get over. Like a single Chaosmon Valderarm proc doesn't kill it. I have to commit a slash to kill a level 4. Like, that's crazy. But I managed to eke it out. He didn't have his Memory Tamer one of the games, so that helped a decent amount as well. So definitely not an easy matchup for sure. And he also it had a Ragna package, 14k insanity, like so hard to get over. Takes so many yellow procs to kill those things. And they all have blocker too, so I can't even like chip in with my little guys. Like that's not really a viable strategy either. But won that 2-1. So just goes to show that even like not popular decks can do really well. You just need to know the field and be able to counter it. Next up was Yellow Green Blue Megazoo. Game 1, I didn't know what I was going up against. I saw the Demi V in Raising, and I was like, oh, it's Imperial or Rookie Rush. So I played my TK and took a Unimon off of it, and then I soon realized that it was something else, and I just wasn't prepared for that sort of game state. I wasn't really playing for the long game matchup, as that deck runs Magnadramons and just heals so much, and ended up just getting outvalued the first game. But the second game, I knew what I was up against and was able to keep that in mind and just always clear level 6 that he had on board so he couldn't go into Valderarm. And every time he hard dropped a level 6, I could just respond with the massive amounts of memory they gave me and answered it. And just like Valderarm them back. Because once they establish the Valderarm on top of level 6, they can Kaiser Nail it back out to get even more recovery with Magnadramon, have another thing they can Valderarm on top of, which is a really hard thing to come back from. But if you establish a strong board earlier, they have a really hard time coming back, at least with this deck, because you have so many answers and repeatable forms of removal with WarGreymon. So that was also a 2-1. Next was Red WarGreymon Aggro. My buddy Jay was running that deck. It was actually Robbery. I was dead on the last game because of a misplay. But I ended up having a good card in security, which saved me. But ended up barely eking that out. The board state was he had a Greymon in Raising and a Red Tamer out, and I gave him enough memory. Because of a hand, I couldn't give him little amounts of memory. So he evolved on top of the Greymon that had plus security, and went into an Agunimon on Marcus. I was at 2 security, so the +1 security attack with 2 checks will put me to 0, and then the Agunimon will finish me off, but he revealed something that killed the thing on the first thing. It was like a WarGrey, so that was robbery. I could have recovered, but I didn't because I was digging for a Bushi's to kill on that turn, but I should have played it safe. That was highway robbery. Definitely should have lost that, but end up winning it, and I will try and play around Agunimons in the future. Definitely something to think about. After that was a really interesting yellow kind of control list. I would maybe call it security control because they ran like 7 Heavens and Eden Javelins and the like, but was very not like focused on board presence as much as like a traditional security control list. I guess it was very interesting. It ran purple eggs with Xiaomons to have another form of removal, kind of just straight out the raising. But he ended up topping as well. But it was just an extremely interesting matchup. I just kind of developed a very strong board. And when we went card for card, I think I was just getting a bit more value because the yellow removal wasn't like the super strongest thing either. Super strongest thing ever. Like 7 Heavens doesn't answer a WarGrey. They only have so many Eden's Javelins and hard kill spells. So I ended up kind of outpacing them a little bit. But the game that I did lose, I think it was like a deck out or something really close to a deck out. They just kind of out-resourced me. I looked at my yard and I was like, oh, I don't have any more level 6s left. I really don't have any like gas left in my deck. I think I'm going to lose this, and I did because he was able to remove all of my threats. And then last round I was going to go up against green, but he just decided not to play to not give me the deck matchup experience. And definitely a good call. But yeah, ended up kind of winning. Kind of winning. But I lost him last time we played. So definitely a difficult matchup for sure. And that was my Swiss games. First round of top 8, I lost. It was the mirror. And it was just kind of back and forth. First game, I didn't draw my level 5 for a really long time. I searched with TK. I drew a bunch of cards with Pulsemon and Lotmons, but couldn't find it. And by the time I did, I kind of just lost board control. And then game 2, he was breaking. I think he was also missing his level 5s. So that was also kind of an on game. And the last game was pretty back and forth. But I had the reason why I said I think I could have won it is because the game that I did win, I kind of got in early with some Turimon swinging across some Pittos. He chose to not block. And I just got in some chip. And I was able to put on enough pressure to close out the game. And then the last game, I was trying to do the same strategy, but I didn't really take into account how my hand looked. I was like swinging with Magnadramons and pooping out things from my hand, but my hand was extremely top heavy. And I think it would have been much better for me to kind of try and play the longer game and control out the board. So that was a pretty big misplay on my part because near the end, he was controlling out my board and I couldn't build up another stack because I shot out all my small guys. So that was definitely a misplay and something I'm going to consider for the future. But definitely really good games all around. Pretty much every single game, every single set was a 2-1. So kind of squeaked them out by the skin of my teeth. But I tried to adapt to like the extremely wide field of decks I played against. No decks I went up against twice at all. Extremely diverse meta at our locals. But definitely a lot of good experience and looking forward to, I guess, running out Lucemon in the future because I definitely think that card would juice up the deck 100%. So, yeah. Super fun tournament.
I mean, for the most part, I think everyone did a great job. It seemed like super fun how everyone was looked like a lot of people were enjoying themselves that day.
Yeah. Boom, there's Lucemon. Woo! I need to slot it in. I kept the deck list the same for the deck profile. But yeah, definitely gonna chuck this guy in. Because this guy is very strong. Congrats to the guy that got the Altar version of him.
Oh yeah. And funny enough, what was it? Who pulled it? It was Pablo. Yeah. So
Pablo, yes. This is Pablo's.
Oh, that is? You got it off him?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I got it off him.
Yeah.
He was like, he already had his Lucemons. I was like, I'll take that off. Yeah, I kind of need one. I don't want to have to borrow my friends because my friend also topped with Yellow Mastamon, and he ran his 2 Lucemons. So I'm like, the Pulsemons are his. We always play together and share our cards with each other. But I wasn't really like you're gonna play Massimo. I'm like, I'll get a Lucemon for my own, and maybe if I need a second or third, I'll borrow yours. But yep, I picked one up for myself, so definitely gonna take this guy out for a spin and see how he does. But I am very confident that he is going to be good. I think that's established.
Speaking of,
Definitely good card.
all three of you guys actually topped.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, all three of us topped. Both myself and that Massillon player lost first round. But my Shine friend won his first round, but lost to the same guy I lost to. So maybe if I didn't misplay, we could have had the fun inter-team, I guess, match round two. But I didn't clutch it out. But maybe next time. Maybe next time we show up to our locals, we can meet at the high tables again and have that match. But yeah, congrats to them. They did super well, and we were all super happy for each other and us all having a great performance. So,
Yeah,
really
actually,
fun.
by next month, we'll be having a team tournament. So all three of you guys, I would assume, would be together and hopefully be participating. Because we actually have a decent amount of players where I definitely see a lot of team synergies. If not, like they could just find like one more player and then they're good to go.
Yeah, totally. If we are all available that weekend, we would absolutely want to do it. And if this tournament's anything to go by, maybe we'd be the front runners because we got a pretty strong squad going on. But we'll see. Definitely looking forward to that event. Sounds like a really fun time.
Yeah. Is there any shout outs you want to give out before we end this segment?
No, just shout out to those two friends. They're super good practice partners. Also shout outs to Jay. He has the Bay Area DigiDestined Discord server. I took that highway robbery game from him. Felt kind of sad about it afterwards, but he's a super chill dude. Took it in stride, and
Oh, right. He bubbled.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, don't bring that up. I feel so bad. I feel so bad.
If it
But yeah,
helps, he
he's
won a
super nice.
raffle. So, um,
Oh, what did you win?
oh man.
Don't
But yeah,
remember.
Jay's a great
Uh,
guy. For someone who's only, I think, participated twice, he's definitely makes himself up there. Like I think his win record is actually pretty good. Like he topped, I forgot, I think he got like second place the first time, and then yeah, he just bubbled. But it was just like what one or oh, I think he might have had two losses. I can't remember. Because I
yeah, I
think
believe he lost his last round to that yellow security control weird list that I played against.
oh the one that got second place or the one that got
No, 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 no. The other one that got top eight.
oh okay, the one you got your Lucimon from, right? That
No,
one?
no, no. There are a lot of weird control decks. No, it was the one I played against round four. He was the yellow deck that just had a bunch of control cards, and then its eggs were purple. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah. It was a strange list, but definitely spicy. And he got top eights. So like I said, definitely diverse meta, some interesting decks. Yeah,
Well, thank you
yep, yep.
for hopping on webcam uh, to do this. I know we were pretty busy that day. It was a long day too, but we got done respectively. I don't want to say fast, but definitely it wasn't so bad. It didn't drag out as much as I thought for being our first long haul event.
You can give yourself a pat on the back. I would 100% say it ran smoothly. Like, definitely ran pretty quick. Um, most people showed up reasonably on time, but yeah, it the rounds went super smoothly and definitely organized. And looking forward to bigger events like that in the future. Yeah, good job. I really appreciate how smooth the event went, and also the pricing was extremely generous. So yeah, I super appreciate it, Matt.
Thank you very
Center
much.
Stage Games are the great locals, and if you're in the Bay Area, definitely try and head over there.
Yeah, we're just a little dinky shop where I just like run little tournaments. But we gave respectable turnouts. We had 29 for that one, even though it was intended to be 32 because we did a pre-reg. Unfortunately, three people could not make it. But they were still going to get their entry packs for that for paying. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
guys at home or people watching on the interweb, if you can, go ahead and you know press the little subscribe button, hit the like, leave a comment below.
So
Yeah, and tell us what you guys think. We're pretty much dishing out a bunch of top 8 decks. I'll try to get the second place winners deck profile as well because I think I almost got everyone at this point. And
oh, sweet.
yeah, because I just got Carlos, so first place did his interview before yours, and we did at least like 4 interviews that day. So yeah, I'm trying to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, maybe make a little playlist. I don't know, something like that. Look at all these good, interesting decks because, yeah, the top 8 was extremely diverse. I think, there were 2 Yellow WarGrey players from what I know, but everything else was like extremely unique and different. So, yeah, definitely check out those other videos too
Yeah. Well,
for some spice.
thank you for your
Yeah.
time, and viewers at home, thank you for watching, and catch you guys next time.
Later. Bye.
Okay, and we